Hey there and welcome back. If you're a first-time homebuyer or someone who's about to go through a home inspection, today I want to talk to you. Do you know what fixes are mandatory after a home inspection and which ones can be ignored? Did you know there are many fixes that you can actually DIY? You don't even have to be super handy to do it. Today is all about the home inspection and how you can be proactive as a new homeowner. This can save you both time and money in the long run. Let's get started. First, I want to begin with what fixes are mandatory. This is the most important part, after all, right? Generally, mandatory fixes will include anything that poses a safety or health hazard and so must be addressed. This can involve issues such as faulty electrical systems, leaky roofs, water damage, mold, or structural damage. Problems such as these can be costly and time-consuming to fix, but they are necessary for the well-being of your family and your investment. You don't want to live in a home that's mold-infested or worse, has asbestos on the walls, do you? That's not healthy for you or your family. Or if you would like another example, when I was younger, we lived in an older house in a winky-dink town in the middle of nowhere, Logan Lake. As I mentioned in another video, if you haven't heard of it, that's fine. Nobody has. But my point being that we had a really, really old furnace. Unbeknownst to us, there was a carbon monoxide leak. For weeks, we had no idea why we were so exhausted, feeling sick every morning. I remember hardly being able to eat. Even if it was bacon, I wasn't interested, it didn't matter. I remember going to school one day, and then this was so long ago, I don't remember all the details, but I think we got lucky. I know that carbon monoxide is odorless, so, how are we supposed to tell? And I'm not sure how my dad eventually figured out the problem, but I've never forgotten the result when I got home and he explained it to me. I was young, but my dad was never the type to hold back details, and so what he said was that the levels have been so high inside the house and that we've been sleeping with it for so long, if we had gone another night, it was likely at least one of us wouldn't have woken up anymore. Carbon monoxide is a known danger, and that's just one example among so many. We got so lucky. It's important to address issues like this before moving forward with the purchase of a home. A furnace is a fairly easy fix. Just go buy a new one. But I think you will agree that the principle stands. Whether it's rickety stairs that your elderly mother has to tackle, a rotting porch that your kids love to play camping on, you don't want to see them fall that very long way to the ground. That'll hurt, and someone could get killed, honestly. As a benefit, you actually may be able to negotiate with the seller to have these issues either fixed or get a credit for the repairs, even maybe knock some off the list price. Next, let's talk about fixes that you may be able to perform yourself. For example, if the home inspection finds a leaky faucet or a broken window, these are relatively easy fixes that you can tackle on your own. There are many DIY resources online that can guide you through these repairs, and they typically require just basic tools and a little bit of patience. I know a wonderful home inspector that has his own dedicated YouTube channel designed for precisely this kind of thing. He has videos on just about every topic and DIY fix that you could think of, and then follows it up by telling you, showing you exactly how to do it. What a fantastic resource, right? I don't know if you're anything like me, but I absolutely need a visual in order to learn how to do something. And his are videos, so it's perfect. Written instructions are just not enough. I need to see it, I need to hear it, I need to interact with it before it's a solid skill set. Even then, honestly, I got to do it a few times. I would love to say that my dad was the teach you how to be handy type, but he just wasn't. He didn't have the patience for it, so my skills in that area are definitely lacking. To his credit, he did teach me how to change a tire and how to drive, so there's that. But back to the point, however, I will be posting the link to this gentleman's channel down in the description below if you're interested in learning his DIY techniques and checking out his channel. However, red alert, despite all this, it's important to remember that if you're not comfortable with DIY repairs, or if you're unsure about the severity of the issue, it is always best to hire a professional to avoid causing more damage or making the issue worse. If you do shoddy workmanship, it can not only be an ineffective repair, let's not watch water leak all over your kitchen floor because you didn't fix the pipe properly, or even worse, imagine if it was poop water that leaked due to an avoidable backup in the whole system. But it can also ultimately affect the resale value of the home. It can affect the aesthetics, functionality, and safety of the property and give potential buyers the impression that the home has not been well maintained. So be careful. Finally, there are fixes that you may be able to ignore altogether. These are typically minor issues that are more of a cosmetic concern than a safety or health hazard. For example, if the home inspector finds chipped paint or a few scuff marks on the walls, these may not be deal breakers, and you can choose to overlook them. Of course, if you're very particular or a little bit obsessive about the appearance of your home, I just might be referring to someone specific here, you know who you are. You may choose to fix these issues, but they're not mandatory. And let's be honest, from my own philosophy, anyway, a spotless house, that's a scary house. I'm afraid to even sit on the couch. For all I know, my butt print will ruin the entire vibe of the home. I don't know. I personally like a house that looks lived in. That doesn't mean dirty or anything like that, but lived in. It's not the end of the world if the shoes aren't lined up just so on the shoe mat. Maybe there are a few knickknacks scattered here and there, some children's toys maybe, some pet toys, 1 or 2 dishes in the sink, but nothing disgusting. Lived in. It doesn't look too sterile. You know what I mean? Now, if those scuff marks or peeling paint really do bother you, but you don't want to go through the whole hassle of repainting or scrubbing off the scuff marks, you could always just strategically hide them. Yet if you have a few holes in the walls from low-hanging photos, that's okay. Get a nice tall cat tree. It covers it just fine, and most people will be too busy admiring your pretty kitty, who knows she's gorgeous, to notice those little holes. You could also cover up other scuff marks with pictures, paintings, shelves, you name it. Just get creative. Now, why is it important to understand what fixes are mandatory and which ones you may be able to perform yourself or ignore? Well, as a first-time homebuyer, you may not have the experience or knowledge to determine the severity of the issues found during a home inspection. More than that, a home inspector, or professional, if we're past that, has special tools that he or she uses to gain information that you just can't glean yourself unless you have specific equipment. You need to know how bad that water leak from the pipe is, whether or not it's in the wall, how far it extends, what areas are affected and how badly. For this kind of issue, for example, a home inspector or other professional would use what's called a moisture meter. This tool measures the level of moisture in various parts of the home, such as walls, floors, and ceilings. It helps to identify areas of potential water damage, which can lead to mold growth and other structural issues. You need to know this to make sure you know whether or not it's an easy fix that you can just do yourself, or whether it's just an isolated pipe with a localized effect, in which case maybe it's easy. Another example is an infrared camera. An infrared camera is used to detect areas of heat loss in a home. It can identify leaks in the insulation, air leaks, and areas where heat is escaping. This is particularly useful for identifying areas of energy inefficiency in a home. Say, for example, you want to go reapply the sealant to the windows because they seem drafty. You want to be able to tell precisely where those areas are so that you aren't just applying it blindly. It's a waste of your resource, it's a waste of your time, effort, everything. These are obviously tools that you could just decide to go purchase and use yourself. But again, make sure you know what you're doing. Just having the tool isn't always enough. Ensure you have the expertise and education to use them correctly. By understanding what needs to be fixed immediately as a result of the initial inspection, because you were smart and got one, what you can tackle on your own and what you can overlook, you can negotiate with the seller, as mentioned beforehand, and then make an informed decision about whether or not to move forward with the purchase of the home and or negotiate precisely what that might look like. This could be saving someone a listing price, it can be negotiating their credit for repair or having them do the repair, or anything. This can save you time, money, and hassle in the long run and help you to make the best decision for you and your family. Have you been thinking about buying your first home but feel completely overwhelmed by the process? That's okay. I am here to help. Check out my other video on how to buy a home in 7 easy steps. There, I will outline 7 easy-to-follow tips and methods to help ensure your home buying process will go as smoothly as possible. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next week. Subscribe!